Was RUI HACHIMURA a good pickup for the Lakers, and what exactly does he bring to the table? That's what we're about to take a look at today. But before we get started, make sure you subscribe, like, turn on those notifications, and let's get straight to it. Now, what RUI's game brings to the Lakers is something that they do not have, which is a player, aside from Bron and AD, that could kind of somewhat decently create their own shot. And now RUI's not going to give you 20 or 25 of it per game, but he's going to give you 15, and that's going to help Bron and AD out a lot. It's going to help him out a lot. And another thing I noticed in these few games, he runs the floor. Bron loves to throw these outlet passes all game, his whole career. He loves to pass the ball. But a lot of players don't like to actually run and get down the court. And now defensively, he could take some pressure off of AD, because if you notice last night's matchup, he matched up against Randall all night. Randall had like 22, 23 points or something. Did a solid job. He did a solid job. And so AD doesn't have to always guard the best wing or front court player every time they play. It could be RUI sometimes because he has size.
The Lakers are 4 for 9. They missed some easy ones as well.
And then, of course, if he's able to do plays like this and not do something goofy, that's obviously going to take away some pressure from Bron to AD. Obviously going to be able to take off some pressure. I want you to peep this. Now, RUI, Thomas Bryant is playing the screener, so he's not going to switch this. He has to get over that screen, just as he did before. But to be most effective in recovering off that screen, you have to utilize your angles and get through the gaps as quick as you can. So notice here, boom, that's his gap to get over the top. But if he doesn't position himself early on to push himself up into Randall to get through that gap once he tries to get it, Randall's going to come off tight and close the gap himself by rubbing the shoulder off the screener. And so this allows Randall just to be able to run right here, right tight off that screen, snake to the middle of the floor, and then nearly get that foul that he always tries to get by finding those arms going up into a shot. You're going to see a few of those later on today, in these clips. And now these threes, I think it's 35-36% free throws or three-point shooter. And that's great for this Lakers team that can't shoot. He's not no sharpshooter, but if he's going to be on this team, at least he can knock down some open shots. And on top of that, you got Bron and AD, so a lot of them going to have a low contest on them. Mid-range game, tell you, 3 levels. He's not going to give you 25 a night, but he's going to give you 13 to 15, and that's going to help Bron and AD a lot. We're going to go back to that one right quick, though. He got his shot blocked. Great hustle to get it back. And just like I said, we're getting these threes. He's a set shooter. He's going to be able to knock down some of these open shots. But going back to this spin move. Now, when you do these spins or drop steps, as soon as you make that spin, your eyes should go straight to the rim or straight to whoever may be coming over to help. But if you look to the rim, you're going to be able to see the help at the same time. So you know which read to make. But Hachimura on this play doesn't look at the rim until he actually fully turns and is getting up into a shot. And by that time, it's too late. And Sims is able to block it. Notice his eyes don't get up until he's jumping up into the air. So now he's just stuck there and he just has to throw it up. Luckily, he's able to get his own rebound back. But had he noticed that, he would have seen this right here. He would have seen Barrett coming over here on AD. And if he's a good enough passer, he would have been able to just jump baseline, throw that to Brown in the corner. But that's a tough pass. So I'm not going to say you should do that, but he'll at least be able to send that back to Brown. And now he ended up making something out of it. But it's not always going to end up like this every single time you play. Now you may see me correct something and they still end up getting the bucket. But like I said, it's not going to happen like this every play. You're not going to have the luck every play to be able to get the ball back and have plays unfold. All right, now tell me this. I'm not sure about this call right here. Let me know what y'all think about this call. Because to me, I kind of get it, but it's like, should this be called? Because Hachimura, his hand up is before Randall goes up into a shot. Make this clear. His hand up. And that's a legal hand. But what Randall does, he sticks that elbow out, hits the elbow with his arm, and goes up into a shot, and they call the foul. But that's an unnatural shooting motion. And I believe they don't call those as fouls. They shouldn't call those as fouls. But he called this one as a foul. And so I see his hand out and whatnot, but like he bumps his arm Hachimura's hand is there. It's a legal position. It's not like he's coming down a little bit so I can see where it's coming from. But hey, I'm not sure. I'm not too sure how I feel about those calls like that. I want you to Pete Brunson on this though. I want you to Pete Brunson. Great cut by Rui. Pete Brunson. He tried to make this off-ball switch. Tried to tell him to drop down, so he's the one to play the help, and Brunson's on the first pass out if he kicks it out, right? And then even when shoulder gets to that baseline, is gonna make a pass. Brunson goes back to the person that he's just about to switch it on, and Rui just goes right behind him. And notice both Barrett and Brunson was cooked in the situation because they had their back turned to the corner. Great cut by Rui. You see your defender take their eyes off of you or not able to see you, move, because they think. What they're going to think is that they're going to throw the pass to where they thought you were. But if you move, your teammate's going to be able to see that and throw it to where you are. But the defender's going to go back to where you thought you were. So now they're playing the wrong passing lane.
Dives to the rim by Westbrook. The Knicks are down by 3 to LA with under 5 minutes to go in the third. Off balance, Randall.
One, notice that hand like I was saying earlier. Randall loves to look for that hand. But two, I'm not sure how sure I feel about having Rui guard shifty players. I feel like a guy like Randall, whose dribble package isn't too much, is great for Rui to guard because he can take a lot of these bumps, but he's not bulky or nothing, but he's great at taking those bumps. But when you see a player get shifty, like against Boston, I see him get shifted off that first move a couple times. He has happy feet. And you know defenders with happy feet, they just hop to the side, they're not sure where to go, and they always bite for that first move. But in Rui's case, he's great at taking those bumps, but if you hit those moves, a player who's shifty, he's gonna be able to get his angles and get to where he wants to. But if he's able to stay true, not fall for that first move, then he doesn't have to put that hand out and allow him to draw that foul. That's not on Barrett, or that's not on Hachimura right there. That's on Bryant right here. Transition. Deacon a lot to do. You got to get back, got to find your man, got to do all this stuff. Game's going fast, but you got to make sure you communicate when you get out in transition. So it's not on Rui. He probably thought this was a switch because playing the odds, there's 3 other guys on the court, and they're gonna switch all these other actions except for this one with Bryant. So I'm assuming Bryant didn't say anything, so Rui didn't fight over. But you got to make sure you communicate in transition.
For New York. Quickly swing. To the cup.
It's just that closeout. Boom, he hopped. He's done. It's tough. It's tough to be able to hop, and then you're going to have to take another step so that you can then push off to get to the closeout. Now, when you close out, there's times you can hop, of course, but you're leaving your feet all at the same time. There's no foot on the ground, so you can be able to change direction. So now you're coming down on 2 feet. Then you got to put your weight down on 1 foot, switch it, and then you got to move. That's tough to do.
Quickly swing.
And now he ends up getting a little behind Barrett. Barrett gets that rip through.
McBride for Randall. Hachimura doesn't bite. Randall.
Solid D by Hachimura.
James gets it ahead.
And like I said, he runs the floor, and Bron loves that because he loves to pitch that ball ahead. But the thing with running the floor, you may be like, oh, it's so basic. Oh, anybody can run the floor. It's not really a skill. But there's 2 things that go into running the floor. One, you got to know when to appropriately run the floor. You got to know when to actually run the floor. Because if you leave and your teammate hasn't secured the possession, then you're leaking out. You're trying to cherry pick, and it's like you're not boxing out. And that's where you got to know when your teammate really does have the rebound and when they don't have the rebound. That's 1. And 2, a lot of players just don't want to put effort to go run the floor. It makes no sense to me because you'll get a lot of easy buckets running the floor. I don't know if it's a conditioning. I don't know if you're too lazy. I don't know if you're just trying. I don't know what it is. But if you run the floor after you secured the possession, they're going to get a few more buckets per game. And Rui did that 2 or 3 times. And in close games like this, they add up. Peep the hands. Got caught in the hands again. It's like he'd be a step behind. It's like he'd be like 1 step behind. And then he hits that hand check. And a guy like Randall's always going to look to draw that foul. Got his hand caught right in there. Super quick. But guys like Randall pick up on it. Now let me tell you something about this right here. Like I was saying, he kind of has happy feet. And he's a little slow on his reactions. So, but also in situations like this where you're guarding perimeter, you're guarding guards, they're quick. So what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to break your defensive stance to then be able to recover. You see guys like Marcus Smart, Jrue Holiday, get out of being squared and have to turn their body completely, but they're able to stay legal, get their hands off you, and still be able to recover, get back in front, so they can get squared up in front of the ball or make you take a tough shot. So in situations like this where you got a quick guard going trying to get by you, you got to be able to break the stance, because a lot of times you're going to see a guy just flip their head back and get the blocking call right here on the play like this. So it's not something you could just do on the fly like this. It's something you got to learn. It's a skill. So once you get in the offseason, you got to work on your defense. A lot of players just go and work on offense, but you got to learn how to move, learn how to change directions, angles, and whatnot. Actually work on how you're able to play defense. Because basketball, like I always say, it's a 50-50 game. It's a 50-50 game. And then Grimes with a little flashy passer. Hey, that was a goaltend initially, but they flipped that call. And like I was saying, Rui brings something different to this Lakers team that they do not have. Nah, he's not no shot blocker, but he's a 3-level scorer who could get you 13 to 15 a game and can score solid from all 3 levels. So if you ask me, this was a good trade for the Lakers, because all they gave up was about Kendrick Nunn in a couple seconds. Ask me, that's a solid trade, a solid pickup, another big wing that can actually guard, that can actually score somewhat. And so that's the end of this video. So make sure you subscribe, like, turn on those notifications, hit that link in the description. Live streams coming soon, and we out of here.